And welcome back to Koru Kiwi Arts. It's great to have you all here. Now today I have another painting that I had painted back in 2018. It was completed in 2022. I'm not sure why it took so long to paint it. Maybe because I had other things on my mind at the time, and so I put it in the back burner, and it was time when I had appropriate time to finish it, then yes. The hardest thing about repainting something or continuing to paint something that's maybe a year or 2 years later is keeping your style consistent, because you can certainly change the way you paint, or your mood might be different and whatever, so your whole painting could change in a certain part. But the last part of this whole painting that I hadn't completed was this bush here and some river stones and pebbles through here. So I knew that I wasn't going to have any problems with this part. I knew that if I spent some time, quality time, I knew that I would eventually end up doing a good job of it. Maybe that's the reason why I didn't finish it, because I wasn't sort of up to spending that much time on the detail, and because I was busy at the time, I didn't want to rush this part, and I didn't want to ruin this part, so I waited for the right appropriate time to paint this part. So it took me a few years later, and I managed to finish it. So yes, that's why. Hunterville, that's right, Hunterville is the name of the painting. This township is like many we have through New Zealand. They have icons and they have sculptures or mascots or whatever outside most of our townships. So when you drive into a place like Arakuni, you'll see a large carrot, because they grow carrots there, because the volcanic soil is so rich and so deep that the carrots can grow long and strong, and so they prefer to grow the carrots there. So when you drive in the township, you'll see a large carrot. So let me show you some photographs of some towns that have their icons outside the front entrances. So when you drive into the township, that's what you see. Isn't that cool? Yeah, that's why I love New Zealand, because it's rich historical culture. Most of the buildings throughout New Zealand have that Victorian or Art Deco or colonial or nouveau sort of look about them, because at the time when they were going for a certain period, like in the 30s or the 50s or 60s or the 80s, whatever, the buildings were built to that style or that phase at the time. So like in Napier, they had a massive earthquake, so they rebuilt it to Art Deco. It was 1930, 1940s, so they rebuilt the whole city, and so most of the buildings were built to buildings that were designed like Art Deco. So it was like a big massive piece of art, the whole town. So when you walk through, you see all these Art Deco buildings. It's really neat, really neat. So these sheep are sculptures. They could be made out of maybe fiberglass or maybe concrete. I don't know, I didn't actually touch them. But I took a photograph of it, and I was quite surprised that my photograph looks almost like the painting. Normally when I paint, my, what do you call it, stereotype art sort of steps in, and my imagination takes over, and so I just, I don't look at my photo as much, and that's why I like doing painting with my imagination, because there's no rules or whatever. But in this case, I've painted exactly what I saw on my photograph. I don't necessarily paint like that, but in this case I did. So here we've got a beautiful blue sky, and this could be a bank, maybe, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure what this building is. But it looks like there's a information poster or board here, cars, and these are sheep in the background as well, little black sheep and some lambs. Now this part here, the brickwork, was really hard. I was going to just paint this all grey, and I said, no, let's do it. Let's paint this and get this done. And it took a long time, and trying to get these lines to flow, because if one of these lines was slightly smaller or wider or going in the wrong direction, it would sort of draw your eye to it and it wouldn't look very nice. So yeah, it took a lot of work to make this look good and make the colouring consistency the same all the way through, because this is taking not just one day, it's taking days. So you got to mix your colours so they're all the same, so there's no change in colour. So so everything, the line work was all done by hand, so I was carefully trying to get these lines to look nice and straight. And yeah, and oh, that's right, the corrugated roof of this building was one of the last things I did as well, because I hadn't done the lines through there. And this is moss and growth through here. I quite like the matte look about this. And the sheep were very hard to paint. I hadn't painted sheep before, so I used the texture of the paint and the way I dabbed the paint on with my brush. I created the wool on the sheep, and it's worked quite well. Well, I think it's worked quite well. And yeah, I was very happy, because being this the central point of the painting, if this sheep was slightly obscure or didn't look right, it would make the whole painting bad, you know. So I was really happy that this sheep came out real nice. So it pulled the whole painting together. As a visual aspect about it, it's sort of very equal. Like the spaces through here is equal to this space here, so it's quite nicely balanced. So I was quite lucky when I took the photograph that I made sure everything was nicely balanced. Like this mass of this plant through here is equal to this plant over here was tree, and even this lamb is, well, the sheep's off skew. It's more to the right here. It sort of counteracts the weight of this object here, so it makes it all balanced. So your eye is sort of not drawn to the centre, it's drawn to the whole picture. Yeah, so it was a really nice painting. When I first started this, it was obviously a blank canvas, but I got the canvas off Benna. She was painting some paintings, and she had some spare canvases, and she let me, well, she gave me a couple of them so I could paint some paintings. So it was this one and the Tui one that you saw on my recent video, were the two videos that I painted, and they're the only paintings that I've done in oil. I love painting with oil because it doesn't dry as fast, and you can play around with it, and you can make it look realistic, and you can blend the colours really well. But the only thing I don't like about oils is it's not safe, especially if you're in a closed room. You'll be breathing in those vapours, and it's not good. So these were the last two oil paintings I ever did, so all my paintings are done in acrylic. I like painting with acrylic because if you make a mistake, you can just paint over it in maybe in 10 minutes time. But I'm learning how to do certain things with acrylic as well, trying to get the same sort of format as the oil painting. And the other thing I don't like about oils is when you paint something, you have to wait weeks, maybe a year for it to dry. So before you can seal it. But I don't particularly like to seal any of my paintings because I haven't found a good product out there that I can rely on, that I can trust, because once you seal your painting, that's it, you know. It's doomsday to me if it's wrong, if I've put the wrong product on or if I applied it wrong. So whoever buys it, well, hopefully they want to seal it one day, they can take it to an expert and they can put it on. It's their responsibility. It's their responsibility then. So, because you put all this work in the painting, you know, you don't want to put all this varnish on and realise in 5 years it goes yellow or start to go flaky. So, yeah, they tell you buy this product, and there's so many different products out there, but I'm doing little samples to see which was the best one to use, but we'll come to that crossroad when I get there. And yeah, so let us show you a close-up of this painting, and I'll let you go. Well, I'll go, and you can see the close-up of it, and I'll see you next time. And if you haven't done this already, please subscribe to our channel, and thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for joining us and being a part of this YouTube channel. Thank you.